Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Focus podcast. I'm your host, Singing Lisa. Glad to be here. And of course, we are sponsored by Cannon Hospice and the Akula Foundation. And, we're definitely always hoping that everyone remains safe and that your families are all well, especially as many states and cities are beginning to relax their standards. The stay at home is being lifted in many ways. So please still remain safe as you go out and rejoin the world, right? But of course, we are very happy to always spotlight someone in the community doing great things to keep all of us supplied with what we need. And we have a very special guest today. It is Craig Sartin. He is from Sartin's Discount Drugs Incorporated. And so, Craig, thank you so much for joining me and being my guest today. And so please introduce yourself to everyone and tell them how you got into the pharmacy business.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity. I graduated from pharmacy school, University of Mississippi, Ole Miss, in 1979, and I worked for other people for a few years, and then decided I want to try to go out on my own. So in 1983, I opened up my first drugstore, Sartin's Discount Drugs. Little bitty drugstore, 1,500 square feet. I kept it there for 5 years, and then built a 5,000 square foot building just about 100 yards from that and moved into that. And then a few years after that, I started another company called Sartin's Vital Care, which is a home infusion company. And so I've had the home infusion company now for 32 years, I guess, and the pharmacy about 38 years. And so we're kind of a staple on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Been here for a long time. I've been really blessed and fortunate to have a successful business. Thank goodness. I've got great staff and a good community, and really enjoy what we do.
Well, congratulations for that, because to be a mainstay and have that staying power means that you are doing something right and you're adding to the value of what people need in the community. So that's definitely to be, commended. And of course, during this particular time, I know through your years, you have supplied people with the prescriptions, and now you have other supplies and services. And so this has been this time something that many, I'm sure absolutely everyone has said that they've never seen before. But what I'm interested in is how your business and your perspective has changed, because through the years you've made changes, but now here we are in a mandated change that has been forced on everyone because of COVID-19. And so how has the pharmacy perspective been affected with supply and demand?
Yeah, it's exactly like what you said. We've never seen anything like this before, and hopefully we won't ever see it again.
Mm.
It's changed the face of pharmacy, but not only pharmacy, it's changed the face of most every single business, here. And so early on, when this started, there was an overwhelming need for PPE and those sorts of things. And as you well know, you couldn't get thermometers, you couldn't get masks, you couldn't get gloves. And so we really made a concerted effort, to go out and find distributors that, had masks. I've bought and sold thousands and thousands of masks, because of the need that, that we needed, that was apparent. But what's crazy is that, digital thermometers, for instance, we were selling those for like $2. Now we have to sell them for 13, 14, 15 because we're paying, 10, $11. Same with the thermoscan, the no-touch thermometer has been, you're paying 2 and 3 and 4 times the amount. And also, there was a huge need for hand sanitizer, and so you couldn't get it anywhere. And fortunately, I had a good buddy that was in central part of the state that had access to alcohol, so I would hook up my trailer to my truck, drive an hour and a half, and pick up 55-gallon drums of isopropyl 99% alcohol, bring it back here, and mix it according to the FDA, guidelines. And for sanitizer, we've done, 5, 6, 700 gallons of sanitizer, to respond to the needs. And then we made the decision too, because we're right next to a big, huge medical complex, Memorial Hospital. And so we reached out to the infectious disease department, who was treating the COVID patients primarily, and we offered, all for any and all COVID positive patients and or highly symptomatic patients that they wrote prescriptions for. If they simply put, diagnosis of COVID on the prescriptions, then we gave their prescriptions to them free. And so, to try to help them out and to help us out, also. And so, quite a while back, we went to, curbside delivery, delivery and curbside service. And so we, put a sign up there to call. And so we would just simply take the prescription out to them at no charge, give it to them. And we told, the community that we were offering that service, to try to help them out. We have since, about 2 weeks ago, we started letting patients in. And this is the part that you're talking about, things have changed. We take their temperature, we ask them for a series of questions. Have you been in contact with a COVID positive patient? And then we limit the number of patients that come in. And so we've been doing that for the last couple of weeks, and it's gone really well. And who knows how long we're going to continue to do that? Staff is really, really careful. We wear masks when we're interacting with patients. The key to it is, just taking the extra precautions, hand sanitize, clean your hands, when you interact with patients. And so, it's certainly been new for us. But, I feel like the staff has adapted real well and done what we can, to make this process as painless as possible.
Well, it sounds definitely like you've stepped up and met the challenges. And so what was an average day for you like before all of this excitement started?
Well, we're one of the busiest independent pharmacies, on the Gulf Coast. And so, we feel, I forget the last count, I think it's like 15 prescriptions a minute. I have 2 other full-time pharmacists. I have a part-time pharmacist, numerous, technicians and that sort of thing. And so, it's just, I'm fortunate in that I kind of oversee the companies, and I do feel prescriptions get involved, but it is, it was just hectic, nonstop, interacting with patients and filling prescriptions. We've seen the March was a really busy month, even more prescriptions than normal. April has really, it's slowed down. We're probably off about 15 to 20%. And talking to other, pharmacies, we're seeing the same thing, because the doctor's offices have been pretty much closed. And so we're not seeing the new prescriptions, and we're still seeing the refills. And this month, it's starting to pick up a little bit more. So, we've got our fingers crossed that the cases continue to decline, but it's going to be this way for a while.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. How do you foresee your future? And have you learned any new ways or adapted any new types of practices that you're going to continue with?
Well, we're obviously doing a lot of delivering. We're doing a lot of curbside and that sort of thing. And so, I foresee in the next few months that we're going to offer the curbside, because there's always patients that don't feel comfortable coming in, and I understand if you're 85 years old or 80 years old and you've got COPD or diabetes, and you want to limit your exposure to the general public, and so I see us offering that that service for months on end, and until this dissipates and goes away and you're not seeing any new cases. We're fortunate in Harrison County that we don't have a lot of cases, but generally in Harrison County we may have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 new cases a day now, as opposed to 15 and 20 and 30. We're not hit as hard as other areas, but we still need to take the precautions and do the things that we need to do interacting with the patients over the phone as much as you can, credit cards as opposed to cash, and so it's a whole new way.
You said it. It's definitely a new way. And I think because of the mystery behind the disease and how it travels and just the exactness of, tracking it really has just been challenging for everyone. And so when you mentioned that that there was a slight dip in the refills, do you find that doctors were refilling for longer periods of time just
Yeah,
to cover everyone?
yeah, that's what we saw in March. That we filled a lot of 90-day supplies and a lot of medications that were being refilled just a little bit early, which
Hmm.
was fine. The insurance companies, realized that, and we would get emails, saying it's okay. So we were seeing a lot of 90-day supplies, and those are going to start coming back in. But
Hmm.
where we saw the biggest decline were in new prescriptions. The ear, nose, and throats, and obviously the surgeries. The only thing they were really doing in hospitals were just the at risk and those patients. So I think you're going to see that starting to increase. I know that elective orthopedic surgeries have really picked up in the last week or so, because now they can start doing them. And
Hmm.
so, but we try to do a lot of things to help the community. We're our kind of our niche, I guess, is because of sanitizer. There was a fundraiser, and we donated a bunch of hand sanitizer to the hospital and nursing staffs, and we still do that a lot. Just even if it's just a little 1 ounce pocket size, they can stick in
Yeah.
their pocket and take
Yes.
with them when they go to the grocery store and that sort of thing. So,
Yes.
we're working with other agencies, to try to help them do some things, and with churches and that sort of stuff. So yeah,
Well,
everybody just pitching in and doing their part.
yeah, well, that is life saving, I want to say, because it has been the one, I don't know if it's the number one, maybe after the toilet paper rush, but it's like the number one demand that everybody just had to have.
We got
I
plenty of toys.
so come on back. That has been just one interesting
That's right.
dilemma. But I tell you, it really
That's right.
is
That's right.
reassuring for everyone, I'm sure, that you all were still able to supply their needs and still be open and still find a way to make sure they were able to get what they needed, because so many opinions across the country were just mixed with whether or not I should get more medicine. Would that hurt the pocket of someone? And I know even before this happened, there's always been programs in place to deliver medicines to those that were not able to come out. Is it better for a pharmacy to have medicine dispensed in 90-day supplies? Does that hurt your business in any way?
It does, and it's kind of hurt. That's been the trend for the last really few years, that
Yeah.
90-day supplies. And so what that does for us is it cuts takes 3 prescriptions to 1 prescription. So yeah, it does affect us financially at the bottom line, but it's certainly more convenient for the patients. What I don't like to see is when you see the real expensive meds that are hundreds of dollars, and then somebody gets a 90-day supply, and then 2 weeks later they get taken off of it, and now you've wasted
Mm.
$2,000 worth of medicine. And
Right.
so I don't really like to see that a whole lot, but
Mhm.
it's certainly easier and more convenient for the patient to get the 90-day supply.
Sure. Well, for other people in the area who may just be learning about you for the first time and may want to connect with you, what other services do you provide?
Yeah, we deliver. We have charge accounts. Don't say it real loud. We have charge accounts, approved charge accounts. Nobody hardly, very
I
few
was
people
going to
do.
say that's a classic.
That's and we supply long-term care facilities. I do lots of facilities. We do packaging. We have some durable medical equipment. We have a soda fountain. I actually have 100-year-old drugstore fixtures that came. Well, actually, they're over 100 years old, that I found in an old drugstore way up in the north part of the state. And I brought them down, had them refinished. And so, it's a cliche, the old timey pharmacy or whatever, but that's, I was born and raised in a small town. I remember going to the soda fountain and doing those kind of things. So, we really do, try to portray that and try to, the way, the reason that, that we've been able to be in business for, almost 40 years is the way that we treat folks. That's the bottom line. You can get drugs anywhere, but the way that you interact with them and my pharmacists, they know your name, and they we try to do everything we can to try take care of their needs.
Mm-hmm.
I also do pharmacy compounding. I've had a compounding business for a number of years, and then home infusion. So there's not a whole lot that we don't do, and so one-stop shop if you want to use that. But ultimately, it comes down to how we treat you.
Well, you said it. That is so valuable, especially at a time when everybody has been isolated. I'm sure people have to now figure out relationships again, and who do we trust, and how do I know you're not affected, so to speak.
Well,
it's a thing now, so if you don't have a mask, I mean, the question might kind of come up there. But I tell you, you because of the years you have some antique products and antique ways that are not old per se, but valued. And so you should maybe look at being a part-time museum. Maybe we can come by and see some things that we don't see anymore.
Yeah. Well, I've got bottles of stuff that are 100 and some odd years old. That we have on display here.
Well,
well,
I love it because I have relatives that are older, and they're always looking for what used to be, the 3-6s and some of the old medicine you can't find anymore. So you are like a diamond in the rough when they can say, wait, they have that? I'm headed there. I'm on my way.
And I tell everybody that the ice cream that we serve is 0 calorie.
Oh.
I don't think they believe it because it's not true, but that's what I tell them. I said, you can eat all you want. It has 0 calories. We're the only ice cream producer that has 0 calorie ice cream.
Oh, well, I have to take a trip and come to your place to get your ice cream, because that is the ice cream I've been looking for.
I wish, yeah.
Well, I tell you, it's just been really a pleasure to speak with you, because we don't get to always talk to the pharmacies, but it's just been great to get the perspective from different businesses, different points of view. How do you think you've changed in all your years of everything you've seen? How have you changed with this situation, and how you've really risen to the occasion?
Well, here for me, this has never been about purely business. It's like when I first got out of pharmacy school, or shortly thereafter, I actually worked in a hospital. There's nothing wrong with working in a hospital, but for me, I had to have that patient interaction. That's what makes the difference, because every time I get up and go out of my office, walk out up front, I see a familiar face. And I wisecrack to them, and cut up with them. I had a patient earlier, who'd been here forever, and he was standing there with his mask, and I, walked in. Oh, you got the COVID, don't you? And I walked right on past him, and he's laughing, cutting up, and all that. So I guess it's pharmacy for me was a job when we, that's what you look at it, a chosen profession or whatever. But it's become, really kind of a social life, for me. We see the smiles on their faces and interact with them. And I think it's even more important in this period of time. If somebody can come in and you can make them laugh, crack a joke or whatever, because chances are they may have only gotten out of the house, just to come to the pharmacy. And so it's kind of evolved, in that, I think that we have even a bigger responsibility to interact with them. We do a lot of delivering for hospices, and so I tell my delivery people, to go in, talk to them, for a few minutes, because you may that may be the only person that they see the entire day.
Mm.
And so if you can bring a little smile to their face and interact with them a little bit, then, that's what makes a difference.
Well, I really appreciate you saying that, because that has been the one element that has been so significant in the hospital setting when someone is in there because of that disease. They, is that
Yeah.
somebody else? Well,
That's
I'll say that, again, I appreciate what you said, because that's been the one element that's been missing in the hospital. Not being able to be touched by anyone, not being able to
yeah.
connect with someone. And it really was for the safety of the individual and the ones giving the care. But my goodness, what a huge gap of something that is so necessary and so important, to be able to
Yeah.
feel that someone cares about you and is doing their absolute best. And so I do understand completely, what you provide to the community. It's about relationships, and that means much more when you have that along with the medicine that's going to be helping you to get better. So now, have there been challenges for you to get medication that you normally wouldn't have a difficult time with?
Well, I kind of got ahead of the curve, I guess you could say.
Okay.
I wouldn't say that I hoarded, but before this all started, it was early in its infancy. I went and ordered quite a bit of my top 200 drugs, and so I wanted to make sure that I had the supply that I needed to take care of my patients. So, but yeah, there have been some shortages, and the two big drugs, obviously, is hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin. And so I reached out to my wholesaler and said, "Look, this is what I'm doing. I'm donating it," and so they've been able to keep me, maintained with a good supply of that. Make sure that I didn't run out, because it was helping the community and that sort of thing. And so, we put some effort into making sure that we maintained our drug pipeline, and we haven't really had any significant problems. Some of the other, over-the-counter type things that I mentioned earlier, thermometers and all that, that's a battle every day. And every single day I go to numerous websites to my wholesalers and look and see, do you have isopropyl 70% alcohol? Do you have this, and that? So those are the things that we're really, seeing shortages of. That's really hard to get.
Well, I tell you, speaking about being the years that you've put in, you used wisdom, which really made the difference in having all of the supplies that you needed. But one of the things that can probably become a new technique is being able to make your own hand sanitizer.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I think that'll be something that people keep for quite a while, knowing that they can take care of that supply in the event that an absent.
Yeah, I think the hand sanitizer business, get invested in a hand sanitizer company 6 months ago, you'll be sitting real good now.
Absolutely. But I tell you, it still does not beat soap and water. I am really thinking that hopefully everyone has been educated to the point where what we have learned in kindergarten, even at home, is something that really has been the mainstay for all of this to improve, is that we were taught to wash our hands. And so that just will always be number one. And so you may need to get that side sink in your your building so that people can do that first, because it just covers everything. But it's just been fantastic. So I do appreciate your time. And I think you mentioned one last question. You mentioned the drug, some of them that were being prescribed by doctors. Have you been a part of supplying some of the medication that's been helping to heal people who've had COVID-19?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the protocol was established. I say protocol. I know that that's what they were doing early on here, or maybe a month into it, somewhere, end of March or whatever, and they came up with the protocol to treat COVID positive patients, and so uh, I kind of wish that I had the ability to track them all, and see, what the response, what the recovery rate has been. But yeah, we've been directly involved with, providing medications for the COVID patients.
Well, that must be very reassuring to say that you're in the business to do what you do, but to be one of the ones to actually directly impact people who needed to have something to try
Yeah.
to help heal them has to be just a satisfying feeling and just
Yeah.
really motivation to continue on. So,
Well,
congratulations
what
again.
was unusual about that too is that
Hmm.
for every COVID or every hydroxychloroquine prescription and the azithromycin that I filled, I probably had 20 requests to fill it that I turned down, and I explained that. We had a lot of in the medical community that were wanting to get it in case,
Yeah.
and we, I told, everybody who called, a lot of them were, physicians or staff members. And I said, look, I really, I don't want to dispense it, because if we need it for patients that have an active disease state, I want to be able to provide it to them.
Hmm.
If you or anyone in your staff gets it, I put several hundred back that we will dispense, in the case that you need it, but I didn't want to dispense it. I wanted to hang on to that and only use it for, the patients that actually need it. And then, there's other diagnoses that require it that we've always filled, and to be able to handle, my patient load.
Hmm.
And so, and out of all the prescriptions that I turned down, I haven't had a single one that called and said, okay, now I need it. So
Wow.
we made a good choice by
Yes.
making sure that we had a supply for the patients that really needed it.
And that is just excellent. As we have continued to learn more about the drug, and where they've tried to use different ones to see if it would make a difference, and so that's just fantastic to know that you were able to supply that to people who needed it. And so, have you had any personal effects or experiences where friends or loved ones have been affected?
No, I mean, I know people who know people, but no one, really close to us that I'm aware of. But I do know, I
Sure.
know quite a few people that have had, that know people that have.
Yes. Well, very good again, because great practices continue to reflect on what you've done. And so we have to stick around wisdom. So I will definitely have to come and visit you over there.
Do that. Do it. I'll get
But,
some of that 0 calorie ice cream.
oh, and I don't know if you have another flavor, but we can work on that too. So please tell everyone how they can connect with you so that they can pass by and get some of that ice cream and everything else that you offer.
Okay, yeah, just give us a call at Sartin Discount Drugs, 4300 15th Street, Gulfport, Mississippi, 228-864-3514. You can see us on social media, Sartin Discount Drugs, compounding and infusion services. So we're out there. You can find us. Come by, say hello. You don't have to buy anything. I'll treat you to some of that 0 calorie ice cream.
I love it. I love it. Well, Craig Sartin, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, and many, many more years, I'm sure, will be in your family and in your history for all that you've provided, because you have a great foundation. So thank you so much for doing what you do and for taking time, and enjoy getting back out into the city.
That's right. Thank you so much.
All right. You take care.
You too. Bye bye.
All right.